Could have been better, man. Could have been better.
All right. All the same, I'm gonna hit record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not a stream. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good to have a backup.
But,
How are you doing, Countess?
Yeah, it was.
Doing good.
We're bitching about the Joker.
So
I don't think there's any story to be told about the quote unquote mom, so to speak.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how are we? What part of the story are we fleshing out? The movie just couldn't. Did you see it?
Yes. Oh yes.
Okay. All right. You said. Did you like it? Yeah. Okay. All right.
I remember watching Movie Bob's review, and I was like, I'm not about to let you tell me what this is good or not. I do admit, where he's like, I don't want you guys telling me I went into it thinking I wasn't gonna like it.
Well,
I went in because I did the same thing. I went in thinking I'd be bored, and to its credit, I wasn't bored.
No, that was not Cash Money. I should have stayed home and played Untitled Goose Game.
I was uncomfortable throughout most of the movie.
And then here's what it was. It was like padding, a lot of pose, a lot of ballet, a lot of old school clown poses, and then violence. It was padding and violence.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yes,
I thought he was having a tism dance.
That's the same thing.
Okay.
See, that's the thing. Like, they're trying to, but at the same time, like, he is doing like they even work some Charlie Chaplin into this movie so we can remember that, this physicality that the Joker is. And remember the old school Batman where the old Joker was always standing in a funny way. So I liked it. They just needed to work up to him becoming Joker. How I would have done this movie. Get him fired from being a clown just after the first couple scenes. Cram the beating and the bringing the gun to the children's hospital into one thing. Now after that, we go to him to his therapist, and then we can go to him to the therapist, complain, and then he decides he's going to become a stand-up comedian. Now, within 2 of these scenes, we've got him bombing at stand-up once, goes home and his mom's awful, and he has a delusional episode, imagining he's just like his favorite late night show host.
I heard of.
We can establish that, and then what they needed to do was if you're going with old school late night, because it's a daily show, this host needed to milk him more. He needed to bring him out for one episode, humiliate him, and then the guy was like, "Oh, it was my moment." Joker thinks he had his big moment, but no, he was actually humiliated, but he's too crazy to realize it. Okay. You needed to have him milk this character a little bit more before he was driven to straight up murder the guy.
I think you actually have maybe a little bit more perspective because a lot of those old movies I wasn't familiar with.
Right, and Taxi Driver, a lot of elements of that, Bernie Getz, the subway vigilante, the idea of the Joker starting out as a vigilante, like Batman, maybe he is going to stand up for justice in this city, but you don't get killed because you threw a French fry at a woman. That's not justice.
I'm gonna say that you're probably first I want to do my detraction.
Yeah.
My critique or my review is going to be basically I'm not sure. Maybe that's why a lot of these comics, when they do such and such, they don't focus on the Joker's backstory that much. Even the Killing Joke is less.
See, knock knock, who's there? Pull a prop gun out and shoot yourself. That's actually a funny bit for knock knock, who's there? Boom! That's actually. I don't hate that joke as a joke. And there was this element of Andy Kaufmanism in that. You know what I mean? They needed to work up to him showing up in clown makeup because it needed to be oh, what's Joker doing this week? Oh no, I've really snapped this time. If they had focused this plot on this guy just getting being a bad comedian who got fucked with by this late night show and the world around him on a constant basis, that movie wanted to be about him thinking Michael Wayne was his dad like halfway through the movie, and then it just forgot that that was what it was trying to make its movie about, and then went on to the other thing that it was trying to make its movie about. Needed to focus on one or the other. And that's my big issue with it, was the story just kind of, it needed to be more focused. And Robert De Niro, for someone who got top billing, I just get the feeling like there was more to that movie. That movie could have had a little bit more to it than it did. Like, for how dumb the storytelling was, it was taking itself way too seriously. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you can give me focused story, like, particularly if you're going to make a movie that takes itself as seriously as that one did, you need to have really focused storytelling. You can't be going all over the place where, like, oh my God, he thinks he's his dad, but his mom's his cray. Like, you're whispering obvious things to the person next to you so you can feel like you know what's going on in this movie when you really don't.
I started to watch the beginning of a Map Hat video on that, and basically he had something that would have been like a good oh my God, like, to a good movie, and then I just like the theory is that none of the murders happened, that they're all in his head, and I'm like,
we can't go American Psycho on it either, though. That was my other issue with that. I'm like, you can either make some things in his head. What I think they needed to make in his head was him getting on the talk show. No, he went out and went on a killing spree, but he just killed whoever and thought it was funny. His whole delusion needs to be that this fucking actual comedian noticed him, whether it was because he was bad or good. If I was going to give him a mental divergent storyline, I would have been like, no, the killings happened, the talk show didn't. Okay.
Yeah, that's possible. Again, but I'm watching it. Maybe it's one of those ones where, like, there's...
Here's my issue.
I'm trying to figure it out from, like,
here's my real issue.
I'm trying to figure it out.
The Joker
I'm trying
is
to
the leader.
Hold on. Let me have this one. I'm trying to figure out whose movie is this supposed to be propaganda towards? Because I'm lost there. I'm completely lost who this message is supposed to be for.
And that was another issue I had with it, because I'm like, if it's about the Joker and I'm supposed to hate him, it's trying to make me sympathetic towards him, or if I loved the Joker, I'm supposed to, like, I couldn't get sympathy for anyone in this movie. I could not. I felt like the protagonists and the antagonists had this very static relationship with each other that didn't make a whole lot of sense.
I kind of felt bad for, like, and here's the whole thing. I thought the movie was setting up for us to hate Thomas Wayne, but
Thomas Wayne. There we go.
Thomas Wayne. Yeah. But. And I'm like, okay, there's this creepy guy who looks like a pedophile hanging around your son, sticking his fingers in his mouth. So throwing him out of there.
We're good. We're doing good parenting with oh my God, my son they try to kidnap someone like you, tries to kidnap him once a week. Please leave or I'm going to kill you. Stay the hell away from my family. Yeah.
I'm like, look, I'm not saying I liked Thomas Wayne, but I understood his perception, and
he did the good. He did all the right things. They made him unsympathetic because it was like, oh, did a big, powerful man make a short-sighted comment that poor people didn't like? Yeah, that happens all the time. He wasn't a bad guy in this movie.
Yeah, I was under the impression, I was like, when he made the remark about the clowns, I was like, oh, I get it. That's supposed to be basket of deplorables. He's supposed to be Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, no. Well, or whichever, like, oh, elite person made a short-sighted comment. We can make like obvious.
The best message I kind of picked up on, which is, like, really buried, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, is just like, all you can do as Jane or Joe Average is, at your very best, you could tear down a great man. I'm like, okay, if that's your message, doesn't sound very enjoyable.
I don't know. Yeah,
was that it? Was that the message? I
want to get on NPR, but that doesn't mean I should go shoot Garrison Keillor. What the fuck is this movie about? What the fuck is this movie about?
Well, let's even look. Like, I keep wanting to go back to The Killing Joke. You've read it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. it's all about one bad day, but he never has any good days in this. Like, it's like the exact opposite. Like, it's finally him boiling up.
And here's my big question. If this is an origin story and we understand that the Joker is like this fucking psycho crime boss in Gotham, how did we get from here to here? Like, if it just ended with him being pulled out of the back of the cop car and the angry mob is like, yeah, you're our fucking boss now, then the movie makes sense. But then the ending of the movie makes it not make sense.
I have another one. This even fails as, for anyone who doesn't like Batman Rises, it's Bane's best lane. For you to truly fucking goddamn give, someone despair, you have to give them hope. He never has any of that in this.
Oh, right. He's just a sucky dude.
Yeah.
He would have killed himself if he had been a regular guy. That's just stupid.
That was the plan.
If he had been who he was, he would have killed himself. This movie makes no sense.
Yeah, it was his plan to go on the show and shoot himself. And I was...
And see, that's a reference to another thing. There was this public television reporter, this woman who shot herself on camera. Like, that's another real thing that happened. Like, this movie is trying to be smarter than its audience, I'm afraid.
It's not.
No, it dumbed itself down. Like, something feels very de-written about that movie to me.
I have to ask though, Brony, because I can kind of sort of put myself in other people's shoes. There's times where I'll watch something that is critically acclaimed, like Country for Old Men, and There Will Be Blood, and I just completely miss it, and I'm like, I'm stupid. Okay, no, it's fine.
No, I'm fine, and that's the thing. Like, that's a good example. See, that's a movie. That movie takes itself pretty darn seriously, right?
Well, there's
okay. All right, here
the good parts that I liked. The good parts I liked in Joker is when he's the Joker, basically, when he's not taking shit anymore. I don't want to say the good parts are when he kills his mom, but there's certainly an improvement to like him being a buffoon. Like when he shoots the three yuppies, that's good.
Sad boy to psychopath, but there's really, in real life, we know there's no difference between those two things.
But yeah, I'd rather watch someone in control than someone go into an ass ball, basically.
I like that you used No Country for Old Men as an example on this because, like, you notice how laser focused the story on that is. Fucking dude finds a box of money.
I used it because it was one of those ones when I said I didn't particularly like it. There are good things in there. People would scream and yell at me, and I suspect that'll happen in this case.
No, and I'm not, and I'm not gonna do that in this instance because like I know a lot of people don't get that movie, but that's fine. But I'm really just talking about tone here. Like, you notice how seriously No Country for Old Men takes itself.
Yeah.
I don't think you can make a movie that has that kind of tone, that has a story that jumps around a lot, like this Batman thing did. Like, they needed a laser focused thing like that if they were going to write a movie like this.
I have my best criticism for Joker. I can't imagine anyone who would enjoy this movie if you took the Joker out of it. If you said this was just a random story just some guy and it didn't have the Joker theme.
Taxi driver. It's like bad Taxi Driver. If he were a taxi driver and not the Joker, you wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if they called it, like, I don't know if they called it Cringe or something, and
funniest
like
Uber driver you ever had. Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe if they called it Anon or some shit.
Yeah,
okay,
Anon.
Maybe that you could repackage it that way.
Yeah, perfect. All of my glorious shit posts will be recognized someday. Mother, can we not watch Colbert again? I'm really tired of this shit. You know what? I'm gonna pop my meds and space out. And when later on, when you ask me to scrub your back out, I'll just do it and make a green text out of it later, and it'll be fine. Like, you would have just hated him. I'm going to be a famous supervillain someday. Wait till you see.
We're gonna piss people off. You know what? I don't disagree with him. Fuck you, people.
Yeah. Anon.
Hashtag I stand with Brony Inspector.
I will rise up someday. God, I hate taking the bus to work at my stupid job as an Uber driver. Why don't I taking the bus to my job as an Uber driver? Like, I'm
not gonna say the name, and I want you to agree, yes or no. Don't say it out though. The mom reminds me of somebody who's like the antithesis of dumb bitch disease that used to be in this room.
Ah, yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, cool. No, we agree.
No, perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
I remember telling Stepdad, I'm like, that's gonna ruin the movie for you when you realize it.
Yeah. Just manipulative bullshit the whole time.
Less fun too. Absolutely
Way less fun.
Yeah.
Way less fun.
Yeah. How do you take somebody like that and like, I'm gonna shave off anything that was remotely interesting about it? And I'm like, how?
Right, like,
how did you do that?
It's like, it's like manic. It's like a manic pixie dream girl without any of the pixie or any of the dream. More of a wide awake nightmare in all reality. He goes home to his wide-awake nightmare of a mother, longing for the day that the talk show host, who his mother was probably a groupie for at one time or another, confesses that he's in fact his dad, and he's going to get to take over the whole show because he's retiring next year. He speaks smoothly into his caddy 102 microphone as he works each guest as they are charmed and bewildered by his wonderment.
Brony, you know how people talk about the day The Simpsons died, but that one Seymour Skinner. You just basically, at least in my head, the way I heard it is, you explained that this is an inferior product to Seymour Skinner's backstory.
This is some Armin Tanzarian bullshit, is what this is. When I left, I'm like, I don't know if we have a new worst Batman movie, but
there's always a competition for that.
We got a lot to compete with, but
I feel like there was certainly a lot of love that went into this. Like, someone clearly,
I know, that's what I'm saying. The craft, the level of cinematic craft that they put. Like, I love gritty 1980s New York aesthetic as much as anyone in a movie. We all love that. Why didn't you just make Bernie Getz movie if that's really what you were trying to, like?
Yeah, this would have been
anyone else.
The backdrop would have been great for a film noir. Absolutely.
Oh, well, like 80s gritty, like Oliver and Company's the best Disney movie because it takes place in gritty 1980s New York.
Nice.
Yeah, like, this setting will make your movie better. So let's make this any other time period. It gets worse. If you take away any one element from this movie, the whole thing collapses in on itself. Like, a good movie's a good movie, right? The story should stand on its own. This is a form of storytelling. The story should stand on its own. I'm not sure this did that.
No.
And as far as lining up with the rest of the story that Batman's telling, like, nice try, boys. Nice try.
Well, so are you saying this is kind of like the Aladdin remake, where, like, it's counting on you knowing a bunch of shit that's not in the movie to make you go, ooh, oh yes, this is.
I remember that.
I remember when this was good. Oh.
Well, this is the target audience for this film, you see, and I call it a film because I believe it is the finestly crafted Batman film of all time, hands down. Like, yeah, I get that it looks good, like,
yeah,
but man, lot of crazy posing, lot of skinny guy posing in that movie. Like, visually, like, if there was a movie meant to make you, like, go, wow, that looks really cool, and then go, I feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like,
so
that's cool that I guess they got that out of people, but it wasn't that. They didn't do it in a particularly crafty way. They just made him spaz out at the camera.
Okay, so here's my thought, though, Bernie Inspector. Arthur Fleck, that's the Joker, and I had to look at my script because I didn't memorize the name.
Yeah.
Usually when you watch the Joker, do you ever feel like, I mean, obviously, ignoring your own safety, it's someone you'd want to be around at least until he gets on a roll? Like, it's an enjoyable,
right. See, that's
charismatic...
the thing about the Joker, right? The Joker, I'm like, well, this guy's cool, he's fun, and then, oh crap, he's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
That's the Joker. This guy's like, wow, what a creepy jerk. I don't like you. But then again, I contextualize this, and I have to think about, like, if I had been at this comedy club at this open mic night and I watched that guy go up there and bomb like that and still do it, and I had been there doing comedy that night, that actually is someone, me personally, I might have talked to, only because I was like, I would have been like, this guy's a weirdo, maybe he's cool, but that's someone who I feel like it's anyone who, like, after 5 minutes of, you'd be like, wow, he's crazy, I want to make a joke of him. And, like, you needed a scene like that in this movie for that shit with the talk show to make sense. Like, do you remember when Crispin Glover did his weird routine on Letterman?
No.
Okay, so Crispin Glover like kicks David Letterman on,
Okay.
like he kicks some crap off his desk or something, and like they get him out of there. It was like a routine, but it was the kind of like, whoa, crazy late night show stuff, 80s and 90s era. Like there's so much stuff that this movie I felt like was alluding to without directly referencing. Because like you can't look at that and go like, well, if that was someone bombing, that's either someone bombing or someone who's like really a genius. Like it brings up that kind of whole Andy Kaufman, Man on the Moon kind of.
Yeah, you certainly had like some suggestions there, but truthfully, Brony, do you feel that this was just dead on arrival? That there was no way of making this, maybe? Because I kind of wonder that.
I feel like that if I had been paid enough, I could have saved this script.
Like, it certainly could have been done better, but
If you had told me that all of these actors are counting on you to write a script that they're not going to look back on and feel silly about, but they're actors, they don't care, I get that.
I don't think it was ever in the cards that this was going to be award-winning, but this was, because I've seen some people like, worthy successor to Heath Ledger, suck my dick.
Are you sure this isn't going to be award-winning?
Yeah, no.
Are you sure?
This? Are you kidding me? The critics hate this.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, the normies love it.
That's not good. That doesn't mean awards aren't on the way, dude.
I thought critics, I thought critics
no, critics don't always decide who gets awards. There's often a divide there. I would just wait and see if Joker wins some fucking. No, some assholes are gonna get nominated for their acting in this movie, dude.
It depends on the Academy and who they vote for.
Exactly. It's all the Academy. And are we talking about the Oscars now? So we got it. We're talking about the Academy Awards. No, some actor might get nominated for some crap they did in this movie.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I've heard about things getting Oscars and Razzies. This might be one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. God.
And I
can't point to the actor of the mom and say that she did a shitty job. I just don't think it was in the script.
If you taught one AI, if you taught one AI Sid Field's book and you taught another one Pauline Kael's book, they'd both give you a different script and they'd both be equally bad. Like the computer would still fuck it up, even if the best hack and the best critic were these things that seem anachronistic to each other.
I'm wondering if the people only liked it because I've heard from like the writer, he's like, oh yeah, it's a giant middle finger to SJWs, and I watched it and I'm like, I'm not sure I'm getting that.
How? I'm sorry, how?
I think it's based off of that speech about the humor being subjective, and I'm like, that's very at the end.
But they didn't really pick that apart. See, here's the thing. This guy didn't believe any of that till after he killed a bunch of people. Like, they needed to establish as someone who was actually just like, no, this stuff is funny to me. It's funny. Like, when I see bad things in conflict, I can't stop laughing. Whenever there's a conflict, it's just hilarious.
Yeah, I was under the impression that he's like someone who like, so these people wronged me. Oh, they walked into traffic and died, and now I'm smiling now. That's the vibe I got off of.
No, the idea was there, and I feel like they didn't drive this home enough that whenever a conflict happened, like whenever some negative conflicty shit happened, it was hilarious to him. And the worse and more extreme the conflict, the more hilarious it is. And that is truly, I think that in the world of like, the comedian or what's funny, like, well, people suffering for one thing, like, the frustration of the world around you is definitely like something that I think the mind of any, like, and that's the thing. Like, I'm like, yeah, I've done some bad fucking nights at open mic. I've done some nights where I was the only one laughing at my jokes. Believe me.
That's a Mel Brooks line. You've heard it, right?
Yeah.
When I cut my finger, that's a tragedy. When you fall down a flight of stairs and break your neck and die, that's a comedy.
That's a joke. Yes.
The further away the tragedy is from you, and I'm like, well, I get that that's basic comedy and shit. And again, as the movie, like, I'd say a good 5 to 10% on the back end. Like, that's all fun. It's too bad it's so...
No, the themes in this movie were not written into it very well.
No.
They needed to, like, they were like, well, hopefully the audience will understand all of these themes we're addressing. And it's like, no, you need to write those into your movie if you want them to be there. You hacks.
Do you think that maybe a little bit more foreshadowing? Like, like here's the
Something.
yeah, the
Like,
meds wearing off.
something to tie it into the story. The other storyline that we know happens, that's Batman, quote unquote, air quotes, parentheses, Batman. Oh, was the whole Super Rats thing a joke about Disney? I liked that.
I had no idea. Good catch.
Yeah.
I
that was,
remember
like,
vaguely
Warner Brothers
paying
took
attention.
a few funny jabs at Disney, which I enjoyed.
I vaguely fucking
Super Rats taking over the city.
No, I just remember it was like, oh, get super cats, and it was the last time I heard it, and it was never brought up again, I think.
Yeah, but you see them in the background of the movie a lot. Like, gross, rodents. Like, the movie has a lot of disdain for rodents, and I think that's a jab at Disney. Because Warner Brothers made it. Like, disgusting rodents are a huge theme throughout the movie, and they don't, and here's a DC, like, Marvel versus DC. It's Warner Brothers versus Disney. Like,
yeah.
This movie was too caught up in its own bullshit to give us anything we wanted to watch.
Jeez.
Like, all the Hollywood in jokes and references to things that we're supposed to know about were not like, yeah, if you know all this stupid crap, like how much does a fucking pheasant weigh or whatever, then it was a good movie, I guess.
Do you feel that the movie was trying to pander to somebody like you?
Well, and I will not be pandered to.
I will, but I didn't like it. It was like,
No, this wanted every hipster asshole with a DVD collection at home to go like, top billing, wonderful. Like,
so you would say someone like Coddle would like be nutting in their pants watching this. Oh.
No, like, and that's the thing. Like, I know I'm gonna talk to Brady about this, who has literally watched every movie ever, and he's gonna like, I know he's actually gonna have like even more thoughts to think on this, and then he'll somehow convince me to watch it again at some point.
Not sober. I'm not sitting through that sober.
No. And here's the thing. I was like, well, we're getting a bag of edibles before we go to this, right? And we're like, yeah, we are. And
I'm glad someone finally saw it, but I like, if it certainly feels like it was an experience, but it certainly wasn't an enjoyable one as far as I would go.
It's not one of those movies I would like. Oh man. There was like a straight up like normie seaman dude like walking out of the theater on a date with like a girl, and he was like, well, that was pretty terrible. Like, I don't think anyone liked this movie, dude.
I think it's rather high on Rotten Tomatoes. Let me look.
Oh my god.
Yeah, people like
What's
this.
On.
Like,
yeah, well, let's. No, good. We can keep this going. This is gonna be.
I remember, and I hate to.
Yeah.
I know, again, since this is gonna get published, and I hate to shoot my own fucking foot off. I know Movie Bob's like, oh god, the Thomas Wayne thing with them getting shot at the end. Oh god, that means if enough fanboys bitch that they're gonna make DC bleak again. And I'm like, yeah, look, I like bleak, but I think it's quite clear that DC doesn't do their best work there. You know, I wouldn't want to build a cinematic universe around this movie. And
if this is supposed to tie into any current cinematic universe,
supposed to, but
if they're trying to start a new cinematic universe, oh my god, we got problem. You know what? No, we could write it. We could get the spec script. We can write the next one. All right, here's the big kicker. Harley Quinn actually fat, so she matches the cosplayers now.
Okay, so let me fucking find this. Oh, okay. Critics are 68%, which I think that they got bullied into because it was shit. Audience 90.
What?
Yep, 90%. I'll put
oh man, Anthony.
Yeah.
Finger, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Well, we gotta write our own damn movie.
Well, I gotta be honest. I actually saw Shazam, and I watched it when I fucked up my foot over in fucking BabsCon with Creepy and shit, where they made me walk all over the fuck. And even in pain, I enjoyed the fuck out of Shazam. Like, I saw it coming back from Massachusetts.
Well, did it not take itself too seriously for what it was?
There's some serious moments in there, but
there's an art to that, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
There's like, and here's the whole thing. I remember, like, because Creepy and them, they were trying to act like all fucking, well, I liked this, and this, and then they tried taking the piss to show that they were critical. Whatever.
Right.
But I remember, and here's my only complaint was...
No, here's my That Creepy Reading review of Dark Knight Rises right now. A movie that unpacks issues that are very extremely important in the world around us today. A cinematic tour de force of atmosphere and combined storytelling that truly paints the picture of a troubled man with the world against him.
He's a bit more memey, but sure.
Yeah,
I like your take, though.
I can hear him trying to, like...
I'm sorry, Creepy.
Oh, if I sound like I like this movie, then I know I'm smart and like other movies.
So
I know I'm smart for liking this one.
Okay, Jesus Christ.
98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
like for example, like problems in Shazam, like the worst thing in there, like the main villain's fine, but like he has these things called the Seven Sins. There's 7 demons. And they just sort of blend together, but on rewatching the movie, I think I just got hung up on the fact that, I'm Catholic. Ooh, 7 sins, they should be really memorable, and they're not.
Yeah, I'm like, you just underused this really cool thing you could have really stylized the fuck out of, but...
Yeah, and I was like, you just threw away... You threw away 7 toys. George Lucas would have never made that mistake.
Yeah, Frank Oz would not have fucked this up the way you did.
I think Todd McFarlane would have stuck the landing on this one, the fucking guy from Spawn.
Zemeckis would have never thrown this away.
Yeah, but there's I suggest, if you haven't seen fucking Shazam, Billy Blanks he's got like a dark past, but it's not like in a world where there's no hope. No, like there is hope. And he kind of starts off that way. He just
got a shitty deal, yeah.
He got a shitty deal, but he what do you call it?
Persevered?
Perseveres, yes, he perseveres. And there's some really uplifting, good stuff, and it's the kind of movie where I'm like, yeah, I'd take my kid to this. And that's not why I hate the Joker.
Was it R-rated? This had to be R-rated, right?
Oh, Joker? Yeah, I'm gonna say.
Joker. Okay, I don't know I don't look at movie ratings ever, so...
I think they carded me on the way in.
Did you see the trailer reel?
Here, I'm trying. The trailer.
Did you see all the previews?
Yeah, I think I saw.
Did you see the Terminator preview?
What of it?
Well, I've never seen a Terminator movie in my life.
Okay.
Not a single one of them. I need to know. Is this new Terminator movie, is Sarah Connor's character kind of a departure from what we've established based on what we've seen in the preview?
I haven't seen the new one.
You haven't seen the preview for the Terminator movie?
The funny thing is, and I'd like to say that there were like at least 3 to 4 at least interesting fucking goddamn previews in Joker. Did you see the Shining preview?
No, I didn't get any of the good. It sounds like you got the good previews and I got the crappy ones.
There was some crap. There was some crap, but like that. Maybe
Will
it was
Smith thing with the clone, that looks dumb.
I saw a little bit of that. They had the booming, soundtrack, like the real menacing, shining, booming soundtrack. Maybe that won me over, but just that gave me chills, and I'm watching like this could be good, or this could just be everything good in the movie.
And here's the funny thing. After the Joker, I went and parked up on a hill and watched it through binoculars at the drive-thru, at the drive-in.
Yeah. And
I think the market is just saturated with scary clown movies right now.
Did you see the
Now, and here's the thing. I didn't get the full experience with it because I watched it like on staticky radio, through binoculars while parked on a hill outside the drive-in movie theater.
Did you see any of the previous iterations of it?
Yes.
Okay, did you see the first one of the remake?
Yes.
Did you like it?
it's something that I can with confidence say that if that movie had come out when I was 13, I would have loved that shit.
Like, yeah, it's unlike
and
the Joker.
There were holes in the movie where if you read the books, it could fill them in a bit more. And
thank you, Cloud Cuckoo Country. Yes, no, I know the book is better. The book is always better, and it's worse.
I'm not. No, don't you Cloud Cuckoo me. No, I'm not. I'm not doing that because here's why. Like, it was a book where, like, I remember picking it up in high school and being like, this is very graphic and gross, and I'm not gonna read any more of this. And so I was utterly disgusted by that book when I was reading it, and just kind of put it down. And then when I went and saw that movie, and of course, there's the made-for-TV movie with Tim Curry that, like, waters it down even further than the first the It in the cinematic It universe. Like, even still, I was like, yeah, it's not nearly disgusting enough to be It, but good movie. Would have loved it if I had been a teenager when it came out.
Want to be if you want to be like that, there's American Psycho. I've heard horror stories about the book.
In the book, he definitely killed everyone, and having watched the movie enough, he definitely killed everyone too. And in the sequel to the book, the sequel's weird. Like, there's a lot going on.
Is there, like, if there's a sequel to the book? I saw, like, bits of the movie and I was just bored.
He's not a psycho anymore. Like, he's just worried about his son being a psycho the whole time.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's a very different
for
movie.
Somebody for someone who used to have to sit through, like, because rentals, I'd have a friend who always pick out, like, bad horror movies and shit.
Oh yeah, no shit.
It would have, like, ups and downs. It would build up. Here's some happy, glowy stuff. Trickle you some hope and shit. Get you invested in the characters. This is the way you're supposed to do it, at least in my opinion. And I'm like, yeah, this is good basic stuff. And you're like, you're an easy lay. That's in my script. I am absolutely an easy lay when it comes to movies. And the Joker didn't do that.
All you need to do is write the script right, and I'm fine with this. Decide which story you're telling and focus on it. And then I'm pretty much golden.
You know who the only good person I felt in the Joker really was?
Who?
The guy in the mental institution. He's like, I sure would like to give you these records.
The clerk, the file clerk.
The clerk was, like, the nicest guy. That's about it.
Yeah, the Harvey Picard reference, I guess.
I can't think of anything bad he particularly did.
No. He went on to write a comic book about the whole thing. It was called American Splendor. No, it's called Gotham Phantasm.
No. Jesus Christ.
I've never seen such a stupid movie take itself so seriously.
And here's the whole thing. I know movies have, like, plot armor, but there's nothing, like, there's no particular set of skills that allow this guy to get through these circumstances. Like,
no, I don't understand how, like, well, a .38 revolver was used in the killings, and a .38 revolver was seen on your person. A coworker already sang like a canary and said he gave you a .38 revolver. We're taking you in, and we're not letting you out of this box. And if it had been Detective Aguilar and Inspector Drew on this one,
yeah,
we would have had him, and it would have been like,
and it would have been hard.
You want to go up to Arkham? You want to tell? Look, we know you got a mental illness. You want to go up to Arkham? You just sign this, says you shot those guys.
Well, no, I
can end this right now.
I could bullshit how we would have fucking goddamn got shamed out of that. Wait, were you guys there when my mom had his stroke? And I'm like, come on, Brony, we gotta go. Like, that would have been it. Like, I would have been like, oh, yeah, let's get out of here. I don't want to get sued.
It's the 80s. I'm a cop. I don't care.
Okay. Okay, well, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
I fucking have really, detective, because we have the killer right in front of us right now. You realize that, right?
Okay, no, I got it. All right, fine.
Yeah.
We'll argue, Brony.
When they're buying us a cake for catching the guy, well, I'll leave the part out where you wanted to leave.
Okay, fine. Oh, fuck.
I'm pretty sure we got him here.
I feel bad like that legit just happened now. Christ.
Right, but judgment, like, no, it's in the investigator's judgment as to whether you're gonna, like, we need to do ballistics on your weapon. I'll get a fucking affidavit from the court if I have to.
Hold it. You said 90s, 80s. Did they have ballistics then?
Yeah, they've had ballistics forever, dude.
Okay,
They've had ballistics since the 18. As soon as they put rifling on a gun, they figured out. Yeah, they definitely had ballistics. You can match up a shell casing and see if it matched. Yes.
Okay.
That would be about the only forensic tool we'd have to get a slam dunk on this.
Did he?
Is if we can,
because that's the other thing. I thought the guy kept his mouth shut because of his own.
Did he? I can't tell because he was like, they came around. They know about the gun. Like
he was showing up trying to make sure he would shut his mouth. I thought that's why he was.
Well, that was the idea, but like it was clear that the guy showed up to his apartment because he knew the cops knew about the gun.
Yeah. But I'm assuming he shut up
because all it would have taken was taking the gun to evidence and
yeah.
Like,
but he said it was a prop, which I thought he meant the gun wasn't real.
It's not real.
Yeah.
The gun isn't real.
Yeah. That wasn't the case, but that was the lie.
Can you produce this prop for us, please? Do you mind showing us that?
Yeah, he could easily have said I lost it.
Ah.
Might have been like, okay, well, I guess we'll keep an eye on him.
Why don't we you know what? Not another one. Did you see my mom have a stroke? We gotta go.
Yeah, yeah. It would have been if this guy would have been a clever enough person, which at times he seems clever enough-ish. When someone's back gets against the wall, sometimes they don't immediately tank with the police. It does happen occasionally.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and then he's either a cunning psychopath or he's just a sad boy, and this movie can't decide what their character is. There's rewriting a character, and then there's de-writing a character.
I did kind of get an enjoyment where he's laughing, and he's like, "What's so funny? You wouldn't get it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I felt like that was a little too late."
Yeah, we needed to establish that sooner. All the stuff that this movie was leading up to needed to kind of sprinkle it in a little bit more along the way if they really wanted to pull it off.
So I think he could have used more visions, like where he was sleeping with the girl, the stuff he wanted to do.
Oh yeah, no, a ton more delusion. He wasn't he was delusional enough, but not enough.
Yeah.
Look, that was like, well, I took a little more NyQuil than I should have last night, and I thought I was in the right apartment, but I was like, you could have written off those delusions with a few simple.
I know this one doesn't matter.
I want some hardcore, climbing up on top of a building, Birdman style delusions.
Did he really stuff himself in the fridge?
He did,
okay.
Which I was like, you know what my riff was for that?
What?
The Joker was Mr. Freeze the whole time.
Oh, shit.
And I audibly said that in the theater when that happened.
Did you get a pop?
What? Someone went... Yeah. No one laughed. Someone made a noise.
In the distance, Brony Inspector hears a mouse pissing on cotton.
No, it might have been someone eating popcorn. That could have been the noise I heard, honestly.
According to this movie, Brony Inspector went home and murdered his mom. Okay?
Yes, exactly, right. Oh, no one laugh at my joke. Fine. I'm going to go on the biggest killing spree this city has ever seen. I'm going to get the mayor candidate murdered. I'm going to cause riots in the street. I'm going to shoot Stephen Colbert. I'm going to do all of it. Like, they'll see with this. I'm gonna do it. Right. According to this movie, everyone who ever said something that was funny to only them.
I remember when they put the twist in it about like the mom saying, I was like, oh, that's a really interesting twist. And I was like, I don't know if it's good yet. Oh no, it's just bullshit. Like, that would have
Right.
been...
No, it was a way to go like, oh, good, this movie has landed on a storyline it's going to pursue. Oh, they're done with that now? Oh, okay.
All right.
Movie? Hello? Were you telling me a story here? Or are you just gonna... Oh, he's posing again. Okay. Um, um,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, yeah, I will not be bullied on the light rail again. This is it.
I'm wondering if there are other things to talk about. Are we moving on from the Joker now, or...
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
let me hit
there's
stop.
other stuff.
Yeah, let me hit stop then.